Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal ticking clock nightmare scenario. Picture this. We're talking about a $13 billion U.S. supercarrier. It's the most powerful warship ever built, right? It's carrying 70 aircraft and 6,000 sailors. But somewhere, just over the horizon, there's an impossible swarm of 1,000 enemy drones heading straight for it. For the admiral in charge, this isn't just a battle. This is the ultimate career-ending nightmare. Let's get into why.
I mean, it sounds like a total mismatch on paper, doesn't it? How exactly does a $13 billion warship lose to a swarm of what are basically cheap toys? Well, today, we're doing the terrifying math of modern defense systems. We're going to see exactly why the old ways of fighting just don't work anymore. We'll explore how a massive, cutting-edge naval asset can get completely overwhelmed by cheap, commercial-grade tech.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the staggering economic asymmetry we're dealing with in modern warfare. On one side, you have the absolute pinnacle of human engineering, costing $13 billion, and that's not even counting the potential for thousands of casualties. On the other side, an enemy who spent, maybe $5 million on commercial drones? It is just a shocking, shocking imbalance.
Now, before you brush off 1,000 drone swarm as pure science fiction, remember this. Back in October 2025, China actually set a world record. They flew nearly 16,000 drones simultaneously in this highly coordinated light show. So think about it. If a corporate entity can orchestrate that many drones just to spell out logos in the sky, what do you think a military with unlimited funding and zero safety regulations can do? Yeah, this threat is very, very real today.
Okay, so let's dive into the terrifying math problem at the absolute heart of this scenario. 300. That entire carrier battle group with all of its advanced, state-of-the-art escorts only has roughly 300 anti-air missiles in its arsenal to shoot down those 1,000 inbound threats. 1,000 drones versus 300 bullets. You definitely don't need a calculator to see the massive problem we're facing here.
So let's play this out. Part 1. The outer defense fails, featuring our Arleigh Burke destroyers at 100 miles out. Let's start the clack and see exactly what happens when the destroyer's threat boards light up like Christmas trees as their sensors pick up this massive swarm, moving fast and moving together.
As you know, our carrier is surrounded by this impenetrable ring of steel, these Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, and their whole job is just to make sure nothing gets through. So, starting at 100 miles out, they start firing. They launch these highly sophisticated $2 million SM-2 interceptor missiles to shoot down what are essentially $5,000 drones. The missiles roar out of the launch cells and hey, they start scoring kills. 30 drones down, then 50, then 70. At this stage, the missiles are performing exactly as designed.
But here's the capacity constraint that nobody really thinks about. Destroyers are incredibly powerful, absolutely. But their 90 vertical launch cells, they don't just hold anti-air weapons. They've got to carry Tomahawk cruise missiles and anti-submarine rockets too. Because of that mixed loadout, they only actually carry about 60 SM-2s. So, doing the math here, 3 destroyers give us a combined total of just 180 interceptors. Meaning, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that even if every single one of those $2 million missiles scores a flawless, perfect kill, we still have over 800 drones surviving that initial wave. At this point, the destroyers desperately switch tactics. They start firing their 5-inch automated cannons, trying to throw up literal walls of shrapnel into the sky. They are throwing every conventional weapon they have at the swarm, and maybe, if they're incredibly lucky, they kill 350 drones. But that still leaves 650 drones accelerating right toward the carrier.
The outer ring is breached. That brings us to the carrier's last stand, knife fighting range at just 5 miles out. 650 drones have pushed past the destroyers. The swarm is now so close you could literally see them with binoculars from the flight deck. We are right into knife fighting range now, and it's up to the carrier to defend itself.
Since there is absolutely zero time to launch fighters, the carrier has to rely completely on its point defense systems. First up, the highly agile Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, or ESMs. These things make incredibly tight turns to chase down their targets. Next, the Rolling Airframe missiles, or RAM interceptors, lock onto the drone's infrared signatures. And look, it's incredible tech. They're scoring kills with almost every single shot. But eventually, the launchers run completely empty. Combined, they managed to kill about 200 more drones before running totally dry.
And that brings us to the climax, a truly career-ending nightmare, the Phalanx CIWS. This system is the absolute last line of defense, standing between the Supercarrier and complete catastrophe.
You've probably seen it. The Phalanx is that white R2-D2 looking gun mount, and its specs, they are just mind-blowing. It features completely autonomous robotic decision-making. That means it doesn't wait around for human permission once threats get this close. Sounding literally like God ripping apart a giant sheet of canvas, this thing fires 4,500 rounds per minute. The tracers look like solid laser beams reaching out into the sky, hurling depleted uranium shells at 3,000 feet per second. It rapidly calculates firing solutions in microseconds, just disintegrating drones with lines of light so fast it almost looks effortless.
But here's the fatal math staring us right in the face. Each of those mounts holds exactly 1,550 rounds. At 75 bullets a second, the Phalanx is entirely empty in just 20 seconds of continuous fire. 20 seconds. That is all the time it bought. So the smoke clears, the guns are clicking empty, and there are still roughly 200 drones in the air, heading dead straight for the flight deck.
The grim reality of those surviving drones is perfectly captured right here. The carrier isn't sinking, but they've mission killed it. Those roughly 200 drones slip through, and they strike fully fueled and armed Super Hornets sitting right there on the flight deck. They hit the jet fuel and boom, it sparks catastrophic chain explosions. Ammunition starts cooking off. Radars are completely destroyed. Now, these drones don't carry enough explosives to actually sink a $13 billion supercarrier, but the flight deck is on fire. The ship is completely knocked out of the fight. And a decorated commander's career? It's effectively over.
So to fix this impossible math problem, we have to look forward. Enter the speed of light solution. Directed energy weapons. Because the truth is, the military already knows how to stop this exact attack without even breaking a sweat.
Let me introduce you to ODIN, the Optical Dazzling Interdictor Navy. Unlike everything we've talked about so far, ODIN doesn't fire bullets, and it doesn't fire missiles. It's a laser weapon system that fires concentrated high-energy light at the actual speed of light, 300 million meters per second. With ODIN, there are no travel times to worry about, no complex lead calculations, no proximity fuses. You literally just point, pull the trigger, and the drone dies instantaneously as the light burns right through its hull. It is perfect accuracy, instant kills.
And hey, lasers aren't the only tool in development either. There are also high-power microwave systems in the works right now like Thor. Systems like Thor create invisible beams to instantly fry the electronics of incoming threats. It basically acts like a giant electromagnetic hammer. A single shot from Thor can take out entire clusters of drones in a wide cone, dropping them straight out of the sky all at once. And these aren't just far-off concepts. These are real systems being tested on real ships as we speak.
The ultimate advantage of these next-generation weapons really comes down to one thing: capacity. Conventional defenses give you, about 180 SM-2s, or 21 RAM missiles per launcher, or that terrifying 20 seconds of Phalanx fire? But the ODIN laser? Because the Supercarrier has nuclear reactors producing virtually unlimited electricity, it effectively possesses infinite ammunition. As long as those reactors are running, there's no reloading. There is no running out of bullets.
So, what does this actually mean for our nightmare scenario? Well, when you have unlimited ammunition and perfect accuracy, the numbers simply stop mattering. A 1,000 drone swarm, heck, even a 10,000 drone swarm against an ODIN-equipped carrier isn't a career-ending battle anymore. It's effortless target practice. The laser just cuts through them like they aren't even there.
And all of this leaves us with one massive foundational question. Is the era of missiles officially over? Since the future of naval warfare seems to be dictated entirely by who has the most electrical power rather than who has the most bullets, we really have to ask ourselves what this means for the future of combat. When your ship is powered by a nuclear reactor, you have all the power you need to win. It completely reshapes the geometry of war, and honestly, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch this shift unfold.